Daniel, can you go run in the room real quick and give me a little paper? Hi guys, it's me. I'm waiting for the other poly chick. We are live and we're not in charge. I'm waiting for her. We were having again technical difficulties. You guys remember from the last time we tried to get on the live that we were having problems with my app because I do not believe in downloading apps. I see one person on it. Let's see. How do you say? Bring them on. Add. Okay, so she's here. Am I in, Tiff? Can you? No, not that. The little paper on my bed. Is she here? I'm telling you, we're home. Guys,
I'm here, Tiff.
Hey. Oh my God. Man, I started the last one saying that we planned on doing the executive branch, and little did we know we would have so much to talk about with the executive branch. Oh my gosh.
Well,
And
Tiff, I think something is wrong with us if we didn't think it was going to be drama. But I mean,
yeah,
I did. I thought it was.
yeah, I don't know. I
I
didn't
thought
think it was going to be as dramatic as it is and was, but hey, it helped us. It really helped. All the antics, all the suppression actually just forced people into the voting booths. It forced people to actually stay home. You notice there were no counter protesters. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, was like, stay home, no counter protests. So you can't say, oh, it was us that was starting or these people that were starting. So, hey, the executive branch.
yeah. And you know something? If you honestly, I'm going to confess that if you were out there as a person that wasn't a MAGA hat person, you were
Don't look at my
asking for
butt.
trouble. You were asking for trouble. Daniel, can you get my water bottle for me, please? You're asking for trouble if you were out there and you were not one of them. That was on you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's no way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say? What do you say? But like I said, we were going to talk about it. And I just want to preface it and say that the executive branch is actually the least important branch of the three branches, in my opinion. And really, when you think about the whole concept, that's why we did the executive last, or plan to do the executive last, right? The judicial and the legislative affects our daily lives. The president, he's the figurehead, right? And I actually looked up the definition of and that's if my thing is still on here, of an executive. So an executive is the person that has the power to put plans, actions, or laws into effect. So they put the plans in effect. They actually put the plans are already made. They're just putting them, just like with someone.
They executed.
Yeah, that's all they do. They're the executor. They're the person that actually takes the policies and the laws and puts them into effect. So really, they're the figurehead. They're the representative of the country. And right now, our representative of this country is not doing a great job.
He's gone rogue. He's gone rogue.
It's like if you're representing democracy and peace and all these things that America stands for, you have other leaders sitting and tweeting at us and saying, what is happening? What's going on in America? We feel like this is some third world country. I mean, come on.
Did you see there was the newspaper in German was just like, what the? Canada was like, some people were like, they were laughing as well as crying because, well, Canada's always worried because they're right on our border.
Yeah,
so they're always like, are y'all all right? You know, because any infiltration, and it's going to affect them also. So, you know, where do we even begin with this? Like you said, we were going to talk about the executive branch, which is, I wouldn't say the least important, but I would say it's the one with the least amount of
power.
They're the most visible. They're the most visible, but honestly, they're not the least. I wouldn't say they're the least important because they have to carry out what Congress said must be done. So if the executive branch refuses to carry out something, there's nothing you can do. So it was like in the civil rights movement when they were saying, now the Civil Rights Act said we have equal rights with everybody else. And then the mayors and stuff was like, fine, well then you enforce it. Because
Yeah.
the law says you have to do something, but I'm the executive. I don't have to hire the police officers to do it. I don't have to.
Well, remember the executive, all of those things, and that was part of the problem, is left up really primarily to the states. The elections, most of the things are left up to the states. So when you look at the power, just imagine if he had absolute power, as he says. Just imagine what would happen if he had absolute power. Just tell me what you
Well,
think.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw people saying like, oh my God, the DC mayor needs to be fired and she needs to be ashamed of herself and this, that, and the third. But what they don't realize is DC is not a state.
No.
It's a district. It's not a
Yeah.
state. So she doesn't have state power. She doesn't have power over, every state has power over the National Guard to
Yeah.
administer, to send the National Guard. But in her case, it's unique. Guess who is responsible for the National Guard? He
It's the
is.
problem. Yeah.
And he refused to send them because he's not going to send them on himself. You know, so that was one of the reasons why they had very little security. And I just don't know if they didn't take, I don't know. It was absolutely a failed coup. But
Yeah.
where are we going with this? Are we going to talk about the process that happened yesterday? Are we going to talk about first? Or are we going to talk about all the
Well,
foolishness?
yeah, we can talk about it all, because it's all in line with it. But I do want to say that I still feel that it's the least important, because when you think about the fact that his actions and what he wants and desires can be overrode or overridden by Congress. For example, the Defense Act, he did not want to sign because he didn't rule.
Right, but he didn't. You're freezing a little bit. Yeah, okay, got you.
He didn't want the federal, what is it? He didn't want the Confederate monuments to be taken down or renamed. And that was one of the things that was in the bill that he disagreed with. And what did Congress do? They went right behind him and said, nah, we're gonna do it anyway. So if you really have the power to do certain things, then his veto would matter more than their overriding it. So I do think that, I mean, if you were the person that had the power to choose which one, I wouldn't want somebody that can come back and say, nah, I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to go with this. So that's why I say it's not I mean, in carrying out what he's supposed to be doing, I mean, really, we didn't have an executive, a commander in chief for a little while. So, I mean, he's.
But if he's the least important, look at our state right now, which when I say state, I mean country. Mm-hmm. Look at where we are right now, just based on his inaction. He has the power over handling the pandemic. He was supposed to administer things. He's supposed to set up things. He's supposed to administer the vaccines. It's chaos. He's supposed to represent us as a world power. People don't respect that office right now because they're like, he's a dummy. They're laughing at him on the national stage. So while it seems like he has like carry out, it's like ceremonial almost. If you're a normal thinking person, then yeah, but in his case, he did a lot of punishing of the other branches.
Yeah, but think about this.
He can cut into the Senate because of his popularity. How popular he is right now, they're scared of him to speak out against him, so it gave him more power. He can also cut judges out. He appoints judges. So he does have a lot of what we see now, and presidents in the past have slowly expanded their power because he does have some budget. He didn't use originally, it wasn't intended that he had the budget. Senate has the budget. Yeah. But the Ways and Means Committee, which is like, you know, the biggest job in there is the budget. But over time, I think they have more. Look how he was able to keep Biden from transitioning. Just based on his refusal, his telling the GSA, which is the landlord for the government, don't let him in.
Yeah, but he can't keep him out. That's the thing. It's not like, I mean, his powers are not. He can just say, okay, I don't want to share this information until you're absolutely in the door. But I just feel like people misconstrue. Is it construe or I always get my words messed up. Construe or construe. But people always misconstrue whatever the word is.
What, Liz, you ain't gonna stop me up. Construe
What
construe.
the president can and cannot do. And
Yeah.
he does have a lot of limits. And I'm gonna say I'm so disappointed. And I know there's some that's on a different side that are not ecstatic, but making excuses. And when you make excuses for someone that didn't get elected or reelected, and that's cause for violence, but a person that didn't lose their life, a person that would have lost their life, and we're out there yelling and screaming, that's not cause for anger and the mob rule that they call it, then there's a problem with that. There's a problem within America, that if you can't see that a life lost is a situation to where we would be angry. We should be angry, and we are angry. I'm pissed, and I'm like, yeah. One of my friends you saw one of my Facebook friends indicated that they're desperate. That's why they ran and stormed the Capitol. But
That person
desperation,
making an excuse, and they didn't say we were desperate when we were burning down. We, meaning Black Lives
no.
Matter. I wasn't out there doing it, but you giving them leeway you didn't give us.
Yeah, and is it more desperate that a person that you voted for didn't win, or a person that is of your persuasion lost their life senselessly at the people that's supposed to protect them? Which one is more outrageous? Which one is more desperate? I mean, and when
Well,
I say,
you know the saying, it's one man's terrorism is another man's freedom fight. So what you call terrorism, I'm calling a freedom fight. They
so what
really,
freedom
if you
are
listen to
they
some of,
losing?
if you would listen to what they were saying when they were breaking down the walls and busting up windows and stuff, when they were doing all of that, anarchy and terrorism,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
like, this is my house. This is my house. You work for me. They were screaming in the police officer's face. You work for me. We pay your salary. Now that is the same argument that some of the Black Lives Matter people were saying peacefully at those protests, telling the police officers, y'all work for us, we pay your salary, saying the same thing, and got completely lambasted for it, completely criticized for it.
You have to respect law and order. You have to respect what happened to the respect for the police when they were being pushed. I saw one that was chased up the stairs. I mean, they're pushing and breaking down barriers or barricades. And no one, well, there's one person that got shot, but we don't know what the investigation of that would be. But I mean, just imagine you and we go storm the Capitol tomorrow and say, okay, you know what? We want a police reform bill signed today, and we go up in there bum rushing with guns and military gear. What's going to happen with us? You think we'll make it out? Are we going to be able to go home?
Do you think you would even be able to cross the street to come over there toward them? As we say in the hood, step to me. You think you would be able to step to them?
Well, let's say this. Let's say that there's proof that you wouldn't be able to do that, because remember, there's pictures floating around, and this is the talk of the day of yesterday. There's pictures floating around with the National Guard guarding the Lincoln Memorial.
Selfies.
I mean, they were like 10 deep, weren't they? I'm talking about the Lincoln Memorial when Black Lives Matter was protesting.
Oh yeah,
they
absolutely.
were
No,
10 deep.
They were. Yeah. Oh my God. They were geared up. They were geared up.
And wait. When I say 10 deep, I mean 10 rows deep.
No, I know what you mean. I mean like Spartan style, like boom, 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 like come.
Yeah. So what if we would have just said, you know what, we're gonna bum rush? You think there would have been shots fired? Okay, you think tear gas? Okay, you think maybe they would have flew a helicopter over us like they did when we were marching in the street? I mean, I wasn't there marching at that point, but you think that would have happened? I mean, come on. And anyone that says they can't see the disparity and the privilege that's on full display right now in America, in the United States of America, yeah, we've come a little way, but we got a long ass way to go. Because if you think about the fact that there's someone sitting in Nancy Pelosi's seat. They're taking stuff out of the Capitol, not just the normal. I mean, they taking, and they're not afraid to show their face.
Somebody texted me that they auctioning off a chair on eBay. I don't know. These things could be rumors, but that somebody was auctioning off one of the chairs. I know that they were taking selfies in her chair. I know they rummaged through the desk. I know that they showed pictures of some of the senators' computer laptops was literally open. That's how much they had to just literally run out of there before, getting attacked. Another senator was on the news saying that the cops basically just left them and
Wow.
just got Mike Pence out, left them in there, and was like, y'all on your own. And that some of the terrorists, we're going to call them terrorists, the
Call it
terrorists
what it
that
is.
came in there,
Yeah.
they're terrorists. The terrorists that came in there were like taunting them, like, you think they care about you? You think they care about you? Was taunting. Now, there's 4 people that died, I don't know. They won't release all the information of the other 3, but I'm sorry, come for me if you want. The idiot that got shot climbing in the window was I think a vet. I don't know. She was in some part of the service.
Yeah, she was in the Air Force. I'm actually looking at her thing now. She
You're
was
an
a
idiot.
veteran of the Air Force.
You're
Yeah.
an idiot. You're an
And
idiot.
I
How are
mean,
you gonna break in my
she died
house?
for her country.
They see, the thing is, this is the even funnier part, that when he was at the rally earlier, he was saying, let's go over to the Capitol. He was doing like this, we going over to the Capitol. And then he got in his limo 10 deep with our taxpayer protection and went in the other direction.
Yeah.
He
didn't even join his supporters. And that's another thing that I say about this current executive. It's so amazing that they feel that he's on board so hard for them, like he's riding so hard for them. But I mean, I bet you he ain't inviting them to Mar-a-Lago. I bet you he ain't inviting them to his $25,000, what is it, $25,000 a plate benefits. He's not doing.
How about he can't even go to Mar-a-Lago now? They got petitions to keep him out of there.
Yeah, well, he's been here quite a few times. Unfortunately, I live about 25 minutes from there, and he's been here.
Well, New Yorkers know who he is, and they don't want him here. Cuomo has made it absolutely clear. Keep that.
They don't want
wherever
him or Ivanka. Ivanka, Jared, none of them.
Nobody wants him here.
It's sad. Like I said, and to me, if you're saying we're gonna down to the
Huh? I'm sorry. I'm making a cake, and I don't want it to stick to my pen.
Oh, I have something on my face. But
I'm making my cake. I'm making a pound cake.
Oh Lord.
Go ahead now. What you saying?
That you're gonna walk down to the Capitol with us, and you support us so hard and so much, and you with us. Why did you get in your limo or your armored vehicle and leave us?
Listen. People want to call him names, dumb, stable genius, all this stuff, unstable genius. I personally don't believe anything is mentally in areas of manipulation and control and getting what you need and want. There's nothing wrong with that person. It is a calculated thing to continue this farce. People want to know, seriously, if you want to know why he's continuing this farce, it is definitely financial. You leave this office, you owe millions of people millions of dollars. You cannot leave this office. Now he knows he lost, but what he also knows is if you believe that he didn't lose fairly, you're going to continue to donate to the cause. But if you read the contract that you sign when you give the money, it says he gets to use the money however he wants to use it. So he's paying off his debt, or he's paying off things, he's paying off people. And that Rudy Giuliani knows.
I don't even want to bring him into the conversation.
But I'm saying, like, people, like, all your money is doing is paying for foolishness like that. This man does not believe he was cheated. He does not. That's to me, the thing that's most disgusting.
I think he feels slighted in some forms or fashions. I don't know. I don't know if he feels that, like, he's a narcissist. I would say he's a narcissist because it seems and it feels like he doesn't doesn't have any empathy, no compassion, no regard for anyone's life, and any person that goes against them, now they're scum. Do you notice that Mike Pence was his right-hand man and now he's scum? So he's a narcissist. He's only out for himself. And so whatever he needs to say, I won, and make himself feel better at night when he looks at himself in the mirror, that's what he's going to say and do. And part of it is financial. But to me, the other part of it is when you have all these judges, the legislative branch has been saying for the longest time that we don't see anything here. We don't see anything. We don't see anything. I mean, you're talking about Republican judges, Republican secretaries of state, Republican everything. They were all saying that we do not see anything. And then you know what he says? Well, what can you find? What can you find? Can you find me 11,000 votes? If you have these 11,000 votes, where were they?
I just really don't ultimately believe he believes that he lost, because he knew ahead of time that's why I said people want to paint him as all the way crazy. But this man knew when he was losing, he knew that he was going to lose, because he knew that he lost control of the building. You lost control of the room with the pandemic, with the economy. He knew. So he started saying back in August, September, October, if I lose, they cheated. So he was already setting everybody up for a loss. He knew. I see that we have David saying, hi guys on here visiting. Thank you for watching us. I see we have, I think his orange feelings were hurt. Yeah, his feelings are hurt. He can't take loss, which is something that his niece had said. He doesn't know how to handle loss. Hi Devin. He said he's doing it to stay out of jail. Yes, absolutely. That's one of the big ones. To stay out of jail.
That is a big one.
Is a big one. To stay out of jail.
For sure. Because think about this. If he knows that he's going to return to being a regular citizen, he knows that Letitia James is hot. Hey, Harry. Letitia James is hot on his tail. She's doing like this.
Yeah, she wants him. She has so many lawsuits. He has so many lawsuits. You're right, Devin. He has so many lawsuits on him. He has financial debts. He owes other countries a lot of money. Thank you. Welcome, Sharon. Thank you for joining us tonight. He owes a lot of people money. And that's something I think that Congress is going to have to address. It should not be legal for you to be able to be president owing other countries money.
No. And that's why they said it was such a shock. But don't you think that's why he didn't? I think it's partial to why he didn't show his taxes. He owes other people. He owes other countries.
But that shouldn't have been allowed.
He's not as rich as he needs to be. So what's going to happen? And now, thank you, Georgia. I want to just say Georgia. Whoo! Y'all
the whole day through.
I'm just going to say, Georgia, y'all came through with the Senate, elected the first African-American man down there in the South, in the deep South, in a red state. Y'all turned that state blue, and they hired a Jewish son of an immigrant to the Senate over two lifelong Republican rich people. So Georgia, shout out to Georgia. And
now they are officially a flipped state. Now they are officially a swing state, which I'm so glad that happened in such a, it almost gives you the chills, right? Because there's so many significance to Georgia. Number one, John Lewis just died and he was fighting for the rights. Yes, Sharon, strong fist. He was fighting for the right of people, and that's his home. I think his county is there or something like that.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams was robbed of a governorship there. Yep. She turned around and be a thorn in your side. That's the way you do it. You don't go cussing and letting them deject you. You fight harder. And then the fact that they said that a Democrat has not won the presidency or anything since Bill Clinton.
Wow.
So the humiliation of this loss was a lot for him to bear.
It's payback, and it's proof. It is proof that, we're a changing nation. We want, in the tiebreaker, I'll say the tiebreaker is Miss Harris. So, hopefully we can get some of the things done. Now, remember we talked about the Justice and Policing Act that was going to sit on the desk of Mitch McConnell forever. Now, what's his name? The new majority leader, Chuck Schumer.
It's going to be Schumer. Yeah, it's going to be Schumer.
He needs to pick that bill up and do something with it. We should not allow police officers to be able to not be held accountable. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable to not be held accountable for taking a life. Period. Bottom line.
And we got the Voting Rights Act that's out there. They killed, because they killed a lot of the voting rights. So big up, Devin. Thank you. Big up to Georgia. Big up to Georgia. The justice and policing, like you said, we got the voting rights.
But that has to be number one before, because
that has to be number one.
That has to be number one. There's
voting, the Voting Rights Act, because they have gutted the Voting Rights Act. And like letting people get taken off the rolls and stuff. So now that's going to be addressed. And thinking vainly, we get to wear our natural hair possibly, because they might revisit the crown.
Yes. You know? Let's do the Crown Act nationally. That would be good. Yeah.
Let me tell you, one of the other things I'm so happy about is Mitch McConnell is not the leader anymore.
Yes.
So he doesn't get to like police this anymore. So I think that's a great thing. But
I was gonna say, we'll see the true colors of the Democrats if they pick up this Justice and Policing Act. That's a big act. I'm gonna call it the name of it, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and it has a lot of good things in it. And one of them is accountability. We need accountability for those police officers that feel like they can go and shoot and kill and not be held accountable unless you shoot a wall. I'm sorry.
And not be fired. They requiring more, because you remember under this guy that's leaving, he had changed it so they took away sensitivity training. He was saying he said that anything teaching against racism is racist.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that the police officers now need sensitivity training when they showed us that they can restrain themselves? They didn't go buck wild.
I think that what needs to happen is a massive letting go of those. And I think that you should only be able to be a police officer in a neighborhood that you're familiar with and have lived in. It's the same way as when I was a parent coordinator in the school system, you could not be a parent coordinator if you didn't have a child in the school. Okay. You couldn't be one. How can it be? It's just like you have to be, in order to be a governor or something, you have to live in that state. How is it you're policing us? You've never lived in Brooklyn. You're going back to Long Island or wherever it is you live, and you don't have any idea how Brooklyn boys are with their pants. You judge them for their pants being down, and you don't know that it's culture or whatever the reason is. He don't want to wear a belt. You don't know what it is.
Or you judge them for being loud, and you don't know that that's part of the culture too.
Wait, Tiff, am I still loud?
No, I mean, I got my sound down, so I don't know. Wait. David says, as long as blue takes care of blue, that won't happen. It happens with any service people in uniforms, like military cops and so on. I hope things change, but I won't hold my breath. And see, the reason we're asking or saying with the Justice.
She's freezing, guys.
That should be one of the biggest and first things that takes up. Now that they is because it's going to change their accountability. And when you're held accountable, then that makes a big difference. And I think the things are coming in a little slower, but when you're held accountable, you start thinking twice about it. I mean, I'm held accountable at my job, and I won't do some of the things that could get me fired because I'm like, I don't want to lose my livelihood or get in trouble.
They walk around as if, that's probably the reason why the wall was able to be breached yesterday. They were able to break in because those same police officers, hi Shani, the same police officer were able to, those same police officers were sympathizers of the terrorists. They were sympathizers. Let's call them terrorists because that's what they are. Let's stop painting it up and acting like it's pretty and saying they're riot, they're protesting, they're supporters, they're MAGA. No, they're terrorists. If they were Muslim, they would be terrorists. If they were black, they would be the N-word and they would be dead. Yeah. Get out of here with the foolishness. Let's stop it. The man that shot up Nevada on the Las Vegas, terrorists. Oklahoma City bombers, terrorists. These are terrorists, but they don't want to call it that. And it's been proven over years now that America is infiltrated by terrorists right on domestic soil. And you know
Yep.
what that means? We are definitely weak. Hi, thank you. Hi, thank you for joining us, Shawnee. We are definitely weakened on the national stage
Yeah.
and we are vulnerable. It's a good time for somebody to start thinking about how to attack you when you're sitting up here all weak and stupid looking. You
Yeah, you're
know?
weak, you're vulnerable, and you're fighting against each other, and that's
Yeah,
the best time to attack. When you, they always say the enemy of my enemy is my friend,
it's
but
my
what if you're
friend. Mhm.
both people inside the country you want to attack are enemies of each other? It's like, well, what do you do? And you know, the FBI and most of the intelligence agencies said the biggest threat wasn't North Korea right now;
No,
it's
no,
white supremacists, and
white
that says a
supremacy.
lot about where we are in this country, and that says a lot about what the executive of this country unleashed. And you still have people defending what they did, what how they act,
Well,
and why they act.
remember when they had the plot going against the Gretchen Whitmer? He said basically if she would be quiet and stop acting stupid, they wouldn't have came after her. This
Yeah.
is the president talking about a state. Remember
Hmm.
when he first became president, he said that Baltimore was a shithouse. That is a city within our country. No president would say so. Yeah, it's like me coming in my own house,
Yeah.
which I do and complain about my own things. I say, oh man, this house needs this and needs that. But I'm not gonna introduce myself on the street to somebody and run my house down and be like, my house is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody
And
would
you're
do
the
that.
one, but the thing is, it's your job to clean it. It's your job to, so if it's a piece of shit, isn't it because of you that you are not making the necessary changes, or being a leader enough to help the governors and the mayors to come up with a strategy to make those changes? Because
Right.
that was what Biden, when he's in office, he can't make really any changes aside from some executive orders, but he can work with other people to say, you
Right.
know what, this is what I think we should do, and negotiate. Trump was supposed to be the biggest negotiator, the art of the deal, and I haven't seen anything to where he's dealing, wheeling, nothing. It's like all he does is name call, and that's not
You
the
could,
way
it
our
was
country.
so weird when he was when his some of his campaign, yes, Sharon, it is his job to clean it up. When he was doing his ads and he showed pictures of the police doing this and this is what's gonna be under Biden's America, dude, you're using pictures of what's happening right now.
In your
It said
America.
who runs down their own house? Nobody runs down their own house. No, you wouldn't go. It's the principle of don't doodle where you eat. You wouldn't go doodle on your plate and then go back. You just don't do that. You just don't do that.
David said banning TikTok was more important than fixing.
Then
I mean,
TikTok, getting the justice, getting Amy Coney Barrett, get
yeah.
her, they worked more on getting her in than getting our stimulus. He didn't fight for our stimulus. She said, Shawnee said, that's so true. I just found out that one
One of the
of the
rioters.
rioters dressed in a weird costume. Yeah. Yeah. They were showing the guy, because they were trying to blame it on Antifa. And the news, I love Brianna Kyler. I love her. She breaks it down. And she's like, there's plenty of pictures. The guy that's taking the picture in the chair, the one that they
Hmm.
showed him taking, there's plenty of, he's always at all the protests and riots. So you can't blame it on Antifa when, like Shawnee just said, it's the son of the judge. These people are not Antifa. And the federal government has already said Antifa is like basically a myth of your imagination. It's who you blame. It's like blame the boogeyman when
Yeah.
when Black Lives Matter was marching, they were calling Black Lives Matter in bed with Antifa. So
Yeah.
now you got Fox News Station today, just today, saying this wasn't MAGA, this was Antifa doing this. All
Yeah.
those people out there was Antifa.
Yeah. And it's the reverse. It's the whataboutism. And today you hear and have heard a lot of the whataboutism and what happened then. And it's almost like they justify it by this happened, so that. And what do we tell our kids all the time? I don't care about what happened then.
Nope.
I'm talking about what happened right now. Let's
Right now.
discuss what happened right now. And they
And you can't
change it
blame
around.
nobody else. You
Yeah.
can't blame your friend made you do it, the devil made you do it. And this is what I was really getting infuriated today. Because a lot of what they was doing was mentioning Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter don't have nothing to do with this. This is terrorists on American soil, living in America, not with green cards, with actual birth certificates. You know how the South say they can't say certificate. Birth certificate. They are actual American citizens here burning down America. And they keep on the news talking about black. And then today, Kelly McAlooney, his press secretary, got up there for her 30-second speech talking about just as we condemned it in the summer, we condemn it now. No, in the summertime, he was saying they should be arrested when the looting starts, the shooting starts. If you start looting and rioting, we should shoot, we should do this and do that. And then when it came to these people, he said, we love you, but go home.
You. We understand you and we love you. And that's what I was saying. We didn't get a love either. We didn't get a we love you. We understand. Someone is dead on the street and was pinned down. The reason the protest started was because someone was dead on the street after having a knee on their neck. Even if the knee supposedly did not kill him or asphyxiate him, even if that didn't happen, someone was on the street with a knee on their neck and the person could care less for 9 minutes. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. So, and he didn't say, oh, we understand why you're upset. We love you and there's good people. Nothing. He was angry at the,
he literally said, I love you. I love you. And Shawnee, you're right. It's domestic terrorism. And Sharon, yes, they are doing it to distract. They want to mention, but because they want to keep, for some reason, our foot, they always got their foot on our neck. They always want to mention black people, black people, black people. We didn't have nothing to do with that sea of white out there yesterday. Nothing to do with it. We didn't have anything. We didn't organize with them. We had no meetings with them. There's no pictures of us. And then you still mentioning us to distract from the fact, because every time when a white person does something in America, which has happened a lot of times, white people have burnt down black neighborhoods that were thriving and now tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But you look it up. There have been, Oklahoma had a nice black city thriving.
Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street
cool. Thriving. They burn it down and they want to tell us now we lazy and we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But if you look at Oklahoma City bombing, if you look at so many of the school shootings and stuff, this is white nationalist terrorist organizations that do this kind of stuff. And then you want to try to say Black Lives Matter is the same kind of thing, when the only thing black people are fighting for is not to be stomped out in the street. They're not fighting for any type of a cause.
Is that unreasonable? I mean, you would think that it was unreasonable to ask to keep your life. And this is where these are the pro-lifers though, but they don't care about our lives. And it's always like, oh well, you know what, Rosewood is 100%. That was another place where they burnt to the ground.
Rosewood.
Yeah, there's
the Nashville bombing. Shawnee, he said nothing about that Nashville bombing. He said absolutamente nada. Nothing about that bombing. He was so quiet because he's probably like, I wonder if that's some of my people. And they did it on Christmas. He bombed, although his wife said, what did she say? Who gives a shit about, or who gives a F about Christmas?
Apparently not her. But
now can you imagine Michelle Obama said, I don't give a bleep about Christmas? Can you imagine?
First of all, Michelle Obama tried to give kids fruit and she was like taken to the woodshed. It's like, to eat healthy, how's she going to tell us to eat healthy?
It's communism.
It's ridiculous. And it's just, I mean, this was supposed to be an episode about the executive branch. It says, anyone else realize so many people criticizing BLM protests are real quiet right now?
What?
And they are. They're so quiet.
Let me tell you something. I don't care. I usually, because I have mixed friends. I have, white friends, black. I have all kind of friends, right? Mm-hmm. I've been lately in these last couple of years going in because all you did was post. I remember when Black Lives Matter wrote on the church. Thank you, Shani. When they wrote on that church, over the summer. They drew something, and one person I know put up how appalling that was. I was like, who gives a F? I was like,
Oh,
I don't care. And I believe in the church, but I know
yeah,
good and well God knew them people were angry. God
yeah,
knew them people were righteously indignant. And how about Jesus turned over the tables in the church? How about that? He
yeah,
went in the church and turned it over because you turned it into a den of thieves. So he turned it over. He was righteously indignant. He didn't say burn it down. It's just you get so mad, you turn stuff over. The
yeah,
Pharisees is in there tearing stuff up, and we just gonna sit back and be like, God love y'all. No,
yeah,
these people were angry that you keep killing us.
yep.
And they don't
And
want to
that, and
address that. You keep killing us. So, like you said, we were going to talk
oh,
about the executive
can you
branch
hear me,
today. What we could
Cindy?
say, though,
Uh,
yeah, you were freezing a little bit. What I was
oh,
trying to
okay.
do
I'm
was say,
sorry.
we were going to talk about the executive branch today. Yeah, Jesus flipped them tables out. You know, you could talk about the executive branch at a different level today because we really are now realizing how much true power the popular president really does have. Barack Obama was probably the most popular president, but he used his popularity to be cool, to try to, unite everybody.
Yeah,
But this guy has used his power to create, his goal has always been the same, to create a whole nother party.
yeah,
And that is successful. So let's talk about the fact that even though he's going to be gone, his the next person is just going to be more efficient. The next
yeah.
person is
Oh,
just going to be smarter, younger, more charismatic. So you can look at Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, that guy. What was that guy name that gave the power sign to the right to the
I forgot
terrorists
his
yesterday?
name. I try not to remember them.
Hawley.
Yeah, Hawley.
Yeah.
Yep.
He gave the thumbs up sign to those terrorists. He
Yeah.
did that, and so they said, and he's gonna run for president in 4 years. And Tiff, are you sitting down now? Stand up and
Hmm.
sit back down for this one. You ain't gonna stand up
I'm
and sit
sorry.
back like that.
Okay.
Look,
I'll do this. Look.
Eric Trump
I'll
or
bounce.
Donald Trump said they're gonna run for mayor of New
Okay.
York City.
Okay. Well, the
I'm gonna
good
throw up.
thing, I was gonna say the good thing is we can clearly see that people are tired of him. There's still there, and I do truly believe that there's people that voted for him. They still was.
She freezing again.
Oh, I'm frozen.
Again, now you good now. Go ahead. You said you
Oh, okay.
truly believe
I,
people
I
voted for
I
him.
believe that people voted for him based on certain policies, or they held their nose and did whatever. But I do see support. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah. How
I
about now?
see that the support is waning, and nothing is more evident than when you look at how Georgia turned blue, how Arizona turned blue, and just at how many people are walking away and quitting and saying, you know what, I can't deal with this. But you know what, I feel like it's a little too late, a little too little too late, because you are enabling when you spoil a child, and then you wonder why he rises up and yells and screams and spits at you. Don't question because you didn't correct him when it first happened, or even the second or third or fourth time it happened. They let him run amok, and that's just not acceptable.
Oh, Devin, that is absolutely true. Voters do not remember. Voters don't remember anything. They vote. The majority of people, I don't know if people know this, but the majority of people vote their pockets. People that voted for him knew what he was, but they said he's a businessman. He's going to get the economy back in order. He's a businessman. What he did was he rubbed down their prejudice. So they didn't care about the people that he was talking about. So they were like, "Oh well, I could live with that. He's a racist. I could live with that. He's a misogynist. I could live with that. He's saying he's gonna grab the women by their kitty cat. They can live with that. That doesn't matter. The main thing is people vote first for their wallet, and then they say human, the rights issues of abortion and stuff, the gay marriage. Those are the things they think about first. They do not think of the president as a person, and they think that that's not as important as anything else. But we see
But
now
see,
this cult is a cult of personality. He
but
has a
I think,
personality that they love.
but I was gonna say, I think a lot of people, especially people in the church, voted based on the abortion issue, and I have a big, and that's what I was gonna say. I have a big problem with that, because abortion is taking a life. And if you are pro-life, you're pro-life all around. And it seems very hypocritical. And within the church, like you said, I grew up in church. I'm a Christian believing woman, but there's certain things that I believe my faith does not allow me to do or to do. And to turn a blind eye to certain things and certain antics of a person that has no regard for people that look like me, I couldn't bring myself
You're a
to do
hypocrite.
that anyway.
You're a hypocrite. So your pro-life mentality stops at when the baby comes out of the kitty. That's it. So now, when snap, the baby's born, now we can abuse it, kill it, sit on its neck. We can do whatever we want to it because the baby's now born.
Yeah.
The baby's born. A little black baby. Because you know they look at black children as not actually being children. Black children are looked at as being grown men and women. So that's why like that woman, one of those Karens called the cops on the little boy who his book bag touched her butt. So in her fantasy, he was molesting her somehow. He did something to her. And so she called the cops. When you are a black child, you're not a child. You're a man and you're a woman. Our bodies do look different. We look more developed. And they don't look at us as humans.
But if you think about Tamir Rice, he was playing with a toy gun. Think about Emmett Till. Those boys were under 16 when they were
12, 13 years old.
So
the youngest boy on death row, they had a little boy that was on death row. I think he was like 13, black. 13, black.
It's an entire different ball game. But let's close out by talking about the current executive of the United States, the current commander-in-chief, the chief executive officer of the United States. What else would you call him? The president, the United States president, and the executive.
Wait, the current one that's actually occupying it right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, the president-elect. Let's end on that.
Okay.
The president-elect. Yeah. So I mean, the president. We talked about.
One second. Before you do that, I just want to remind everybody. Thank you guys for viewing, but. The two things to take away from what happened when I watched, because I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the vote, Pennsylvania and Arizona wound up being the only ones to contest the election count. Now, the thing that to me was beautiful about what happened yesterday with the terrorist acts was that it made those senators who had came in there all gung-ho, like, we're going to tear this up, we ain't having it. All of them started to, I don't want to say what kind of pop they was doing. They was just popping backwards. Now they were pop locking, and we didn't mean it, and like that. So I think that one of the takeaways is God allows certain things to happen for a better and a bigger cause. So while it's appalling and all of that, I was quite grateful. No black people got injured in the process. We ain't had nothing to do with that crap. Y'all blaming on each other. Do what y'all got to do with each other. And also we moved past, and he was able to be sort of easily elected without all the fight that was gonna happen. So they really shot themselves in the arse. That's what they did. That was the result.
Okay.
So now, the rest of the states, Georgia came through again. Whoever the senator was that was gonna, protest, he changed his mind. Nevada, Michigan, Minnesota, those senators backed out and was like, we don't have nothing to do with that. So anyway, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that part because in all the things we could see that are kind of disgusting and negative, I think it had a great result.
I think so too. I think it pushed it along. The
cabinet is resigning. The cabinet is all resigning, which, before we leave on the other topic, the fact that they're resigning means they're not going to invoke the 25th Amendment, because to get rid of him through the 25th Amendment, the cabinet does it. His cabinet can say to Mike Pence, we want you to take over. But the fact that they're resigning, it just means they're bailing because they don't want nothing to do with that no more. Yeah. So that, those are some of the takeaways from that. The fact that he's off Twitter. So he's probably, oh my God, he's probably like this now.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you about the 25th Amendment. The 25th Amendment, Section 4. I'm going to read it because I had it up. It says, whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department, which is the cabinet, or Senate, such other body as Congress. And that's why Nancy Pelosi got up there and said they're looking at invoking, because it doesn't have to be their cabinet members. It can be Congress as well. So they can decide that the president is unfit to stay in office. And there's so many people calling for him to get the hell out of there before he causes
Well,
any more
I
ruckus.
saw the guy John Bolton, that was the idiot that didn't testify when he was impeached originally.
Mhm.
He decided not to testify, but he waited until later. He remembered stuff, and then he wrote a book. He
Yeah.
came on, and I kind of agree with what he said. The 25th Amendment doesn't make sense because this is how it works. You write whatever, you do whatever, and say, I think he's unfit. Then Pence has to get on board with that. And then when it goes before Congress or whatever to say he's unfit, he can respond and say, no, I'm not. And then Congress now has to go and debate for like 21 days. So he's saying it doesn't make sense because it's only 7 business days left in this guy's presidency. It's
Well,
only
let's
7 business days.
that's what I was
You
gonna say.
welcome,
Let's look
Sharon.
forward. Let's look forward to let's look to the
7
future
business
because
days.
he has 14, less than 14 days, less than 2 weeks.
Yes.
I don't know how much havoc he can do, but I do see that the 25th Amendment or removing him, I feel like he has to have some type of punishment. He has to have some type of,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if it's after he gets out of office, he needs,
Yeah.
because otherwise this will continue to happen. If you do not punish those acts, like I said, with a child, if you do not punish those acts, when it happens, then someone else is going to try it. What happens when you have 2 kids and they see one doing it, the other one is going to follow and try to do the same thing.
He would have been a teacher's nightmare. When I was in school teaching, the one thing the principal would do, come in that room, if the kids were a mess, it was always the teacher's fault. It was nobody but the teacher's fault. That's called classroom management. So when this principal body leading, the father of the country is leading the country, it
Yeah.
is his fault what the people do. And
Yeah.
I don't think they were saying no punishment for him. They were just saying the time needed to prove the 25th Amendment
Okay, just
wouldn't
not
make
that
sense.
punishment, not that one.
So just they saying it's better to actually impeach him because then he can't run again.
Yeah. Well, not,
So
I
Sharon
guess.
said that's what I was about to ask Tiffany. I wonder how much more damage. Oh, let me tell you, I'm gonna use a scripture on that one. You know, they say as 1,000 years is as one day to God, and one day is as 1,000 years. Let me tell you, he could do so much. He's got the nuclear code.
Well, like I'm
They
gonna
were
say, 'cause
laughing.
I have to get ready to end it. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say, if you guys are praying, if you're a praying person, we need to pray. We already did the footwork and we turned out and voted like hell. We voted like crazy and we showed what happens, how much power we have, and that's what they're afraid of. That's why they're attacking our voting rights, because they know that once we put our voice to our pen to our voice, there's a lot of stuff that starts to change. So that's what people are afraid of. But I like I said, I do have to run downstairs, but we did want to end talking about the current executive that's coming in, right? We wanted to talk about
Yes.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. He is making a lot of history with his cabinet picks. And now with the Senate being in place, with it being Democratic, a Democratic Senate, a Democrat run or led Senate, his cabinet picks will probably be easy to confirm. You have the first LGBT person
Q.
elected, the LGBTQ plus. Sorry, sorry, I didn't leave anybody
A
out.
B C D E F G. The first A B C D E F G person.
You have him leading the Department of Treasury. You have the Department of Defense or Secretary of State. One of them is a black man. I can't remember his name.
There's a transgender person too. He has. I think.
Oh.
That might be Congress. That might be Congress. Forget me. Ignore
Yeah,
me.
I think that's Congress. Because and then you have the biggest shade that I loved hearing yesterday is Merrick Garland was named as Attorney General. Now, if you guys remember, Merrick Garland was Obama's pick for the Supreme Court, and the bitch who was ditched actually decided that he wasn't even going to hold a hearing to listen to anything they had to say
A year before his office was over. A year.
Yes. So that person is poised to be the Attorney General of the United States under Biden. So we have a lot of things, and like I said, it's a lot of work. I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of bridges to be made. But I mean, it feels like there's light at the end of the tunnel. And with the cabinet picks, these are the people that run the organizations that administer your health and your, like Cindy was saying at the beginning, all of the things that the Department of Transportation, your roads, your airplanes, the regulations on stuff, and your Attorney General of the United States. Maybe he'll decide to, enact some laws that's favorable to us. So
maybe. I definitely, those things are so wonderful. He might put another person on the court to make the court more even. Hopefully he'll put, he said Devin said we have a truly divided country. Yes. And Shawnee says Sarah McBride, the first right, that's her. I couldn't remember her name. Sarah McBride is the first transgender senator. So he has a very progressive Senate to work with. He has a very, what is it, gosh, and I appreciate you, chicks. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know so little. That's why you ladies are so important. Thank you so much. We're just trying to, be faithful, do this right, do it educationally, but we also, poly chicks, so we like to sound off. This was a sound off day. It was supposed to be a day of talking about the presidency, but it became a sound off day after the foolishness with the terrorism that happened yesterday.
But we did talk about the presidency, right? We did talk about the executive branch in full.
It's like you said, it's Shawnee, you Googled it. Yeah, I'm on my phone. I can't even Google it. We did talk a lot about the presidency. It is a figurehead type of office, but as we can see from this guy, they have expanded their powers so much, and it was supposed to be a balance between all the three, the judicial, the executive, as well as the Congress. It was supposed to be a balance, but now it's becoming very imbalanced because he has affected everything. But what I'm very excited about is not to see that old lady Mitch McConnell being at the front all the time. Yes. And that Miss Kayleigh McAlooney, his secretary, his press secretary, lying to the public, being snarky and snotty and twisting it on the, acting. And also, I'm not going to miss the attacks on the press. That got really, really tiresome because the press, yes, they're jaded. Yes, they got their issues, but this is why America is different than other places. We're not supposed to stifle our news. Regardless, we're not supposed to stifle them unless they're causing like an insurrection, like the one that happened yesterday, unless they're doing that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I do want to tell guys to thank you so much for watching. You guys were awesome and interactive, and we appreciate it. We have a lot more Q&As and lives that are coming up. We have a lot of interesting topics that's already taped and or pre-taped, and that's coming up to be taped. So we appreciate you as viewers. Always tell a friend if you're interested in any shared topics that you want us to talk about. Please let us know. Email us to polychicks@gmail.com. You obviously know where to find us on Facebook. We're the only place we're not Two Polychicks is on YouTube, which is Polychicks, just Polychicks. So we really thank you for joining us, and we're actually gonna post this video to our Facebook page once we
Viola, thank you.
So so please share it, and let us know what you think if you have any other comments, right?
Yeah, and you guys, if you have any topic you want us to do, just do twopolychicks@gmail.com to send it to us. Again, we just want to say those were terrorists yesterday. I still stick with that. I'm very angry. Black Lives Matter. We have nothing to do with that.
Domestic terrorism at our shores, at our Capitol.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you. We upload on Thursdays. Don't forget that. We will see you on Thursday. We are ready. All right, Sarah. Have a good evening, guys. Bye. Bye.
Okay. Bye.